Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to my lowest calorie kitchen, welcome to another original anabolic recipe. So first we had the Snickers bar, then we had the Bounty bar. So what's next? Twix? No. Of course it's Twix, man. Of course it's Twix. It's the next obvious choice in the candy bar saga. I don't think Twix needs any further introduction. I don't think there's anybody out there who doesn't know what this is, so what you waiting for? Let's get to it. But not before you subscribe and like this video. So do that now and let's dive right into the needed ingredients. Roll the intro. So the Twix is made out of three parts. We have the chocolate exterior, we have the cookie base, and we have a caramel layer in the middle. So due to the fact that we're gonna be making the cookie base and we're gonna be making the caramel, I won't also be making the chocolate exterior because I already did that for the Snickers bar. That was a dark chocolate. I already did it for the Bounty bar, which was a milk chocolate. For this recipe today, we're just gonna melt some chocolate on top. It's way easier and it's another option into making these homemade chocolate bars. The calories are not that far off from the homemade version, but it's way easier to do. So if you wanna have a homemade chocolate for this as well, then get the recipe from the Snickers for the dark chocolate or from the Bounty video for the milk chocolate. Okay, let's begin with the biscuit part. So let's assemble the ingredients, bake them, and then move on to the caramel. Preheat your oven to 220 degrees Fahrenheit. I always forget this, man. It's 180 degrees Celsius, that's what I know. In Europe we use Celsius. I always forget how much is 180 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit. I always have to Google it before I say it on camera. It's like I have a brain freeze or something. In every freaking baking video I've mentioned the temperature in Fahrenheit, but I can't remember for the life of me exactly what that number is. 180 Celsius, you do the math. Food scale, check. Bowl, check. Sifter, check. We'll start by adding 40 grams of erythritol. Powdered or granular, it doesn't matter. And erythritol is awesome because it has 0 calories and it also adds volume. So you can use any type of sweetener you want, but I highly recommend you use erythritol. Next we're gonna add 20 grams of vanilla flavored casein, and that is casein, not whey. If you make this with whey, it won't crisp up, it will be too cakey and not have that cookie-like texture we're looking for. So 20 grams of casein. Don't use whey, use only casein. Next we're gonna add 20 grams of regular white flour and a small pinch of salt, of course. That's it for our dry ingredients. Shake this up real quick. And now get a whisk and give it a quick stir. And of course, we're gonna be adding our wet ingredients next. 3 grams of vanilla extract, 30 grams of unsweetened applesauce, and last but not least, 10 grams of coconut oil, which has been melted in the microwave. That's it. Give it a bit of a stir. And of course the whisk no longer works. Need to grab a spatula. Just mix this well. I know it doesn't seem like it wants to mix at first, but it will soon become a dough. You can form a dough ball out of it and we can put it in a pan and bake it. Okay, so this is already mixed. This is the consistency we need. We can make a dough ball out of it, shape it and bake it. Okay, so how we're going about this? I have a regular bread pan here lined with a bit of parchment paper. This is a 2.5 inch by 10 inch pan, and we're just gonna squeeze this dough ball in the bottom of the pan. Make sure it covers the entire bottom because we need a thin layer of the cookie and not a thick one. So just have at it with your hand. Just press and squeeze and get this as thin as possible, just like that. So Just get it as thin as possible. Get it to spread out to the entire shape of the pan. You can use any type of shape for the pan you want, just as long as you make a flat base. You don't need the exact bread pan. You can use any pan that is available to you. Just spread this thin any way you can. And then bake for 15 minutes. Okay, 15 minutes are up. This is what it looks like fresh out of the oven. You just get it out, put it on a wire rack. It will be quite soft at first. Right now it's really soft, but once it cools down, it will harden up and turn into a cookie. So make sure this is cooled down completely before moving on to the next step. Okay, now it's time for the caramel layer. We'll need our trusty food scale again. And this time we're gonna need a saucepan. We're gonna add the ingredients in no particular order because we're gonna be applying heat to this. So we'll start off with the erythritol. Now we're using the brown erythritol, not the regular one. The regular one will also work, but the brown one works better for making a caramel sauce. We're adding 40 grams. Next we're gonna add 30 grams of our unsweetened applesauce, 20 grams of vanilla flavored whey protein. Next we're gonna add 10 grams of cook and serve caramel flavored premium pudding mix. This is just cook and serve pudding, and be careful, this is cook and serve, meaning you have to apply heat to this in order for it to work. Don't use the instant on this one because we need to apply heat to it. Use the cook and serve pudding. If you don't have cook and serve pudding, use just plain old cornstarch. Cook and serve pudding is basically cornstarch with a bit of flavoring. I'm using the pudding because it has a caramel flavor and we're making a caramel sauce, so it's only appropriate we use some sort of caramel flavoring. So 10 grams caramel cook and serve pudding, and the scale died, but we're there. Alright, we're back in business. And last but not least, we're gonna need some light butter. I use the President light butter. I don't know if you can get this in the US, but you can use Land O'Lakes or whatever light butter you can get your hands on. This is 40% fat, by the way, and we'll be needing about 30 grams. On the money. Now we're gonna move over to the stove, apply some heat to it, mix the ingredients up, and make our caramel sauce. Let's go to the stove. Okay, so we're just gonna apply some low heat to it. Go for a level 6 out of 9 and just start mixing it up. As the butter will melt, the erythritol will also caramelize, and the entire process only takes about 5 minutes, so you don't have to go at it for very long. And as you can see, because of the brown erythritol as well as the caramel pudding mix, we already have this dark caramel-like color even before it's actually caramelized. So just stir until the pudding can activate and make this thick and gooey. There is no special requirement for this step, just stir until it gets thicker. Okay, so that's the consistency we need. As you can see, it's gooey, caramelly. Just let it cool down for about 1 to 2 minutes and we can put it on top of our cookie base we made earlier. Right, so this is our cookie base. It has cooled down completely. As you can see, it's a hard cookie. That's what you need. And we're gonna add the caramel on top. Just use a spatula, scrape the pan so we get everything. And we just need to make sure we get some even coverage here. Make this as even as you can. Now we just need to refrigerate it until the caramel sets. It won't take very long, 10 to 20 minutes in the fridge, and it should be fine. And then we can cover it with chocolate. Okay, the caramel has set. It has been 10 minutes. It's hardened up enough so it won't fall off the cookie. Now we're gonna cut it up. And This is up to you, because right now you can cut it up in any shape or size that you want. I found the easiest way to do it is cut it into tiny pieces, like bite-sized chunks, small cubes of the stuff. But for the sake of the video, because we're making a Twix knockoff, a Twix copycat, I'm gonna cut it up in Twix size shapes. And of course the center pieces will look best. So the ugly side pieces can be moved aside. And this will be our Twix replicas. That's a Twix double right there. Here is a side view. We have the cookie base, the caramel layer on top, and now we're gonna cover it with some sugar-free chocolate. The lightest sugar-free chocolate I can find is a stevia-based chocolate. It has 420 calories for 100 grams. If you can find lighter chocolate, then you're all set. But this is the lightest one I can find, so I'm gonna be melting 2 of these bars, which will be 50 grams. They're 25 grams each, but we won't be using all of it. There will be a lot dripping from the Twix bars themselves, so I'm gonna weigh out and measure out exactly the chocolate that's left on the bars and not count the calories for the chocolate that falls on the plate underneath. So the way we do this, just take our knife and start making tiny cuts and flaking this out, just like that. This will help with the melting process. Dump it into our bowl here and microwave it for 20 seconds at a time and pull it out before this is completely melted. So you'll get a few melted bits on the bottom, but the top will remain intact, and we'll stir it and then give it a few more shots in the microwave. And I'm gonna show you. So this is the first 20-second draft, and we have a few melted bits on the bottom. So we're gonna stir and give it another 20 seconds. And that's it. It only took 2 bursts of 20 seconds each, and we have melted chocolate. Now it's time to cover our Twix bars. And how we're going about this, just take a spoonful and add some chocolate on top, and then spread it out so it drips on the side. Rinse and repeat. The thinner you can get the layer of chocolate, the less calories it will have. So make sure not to add too much chocolate in this step. Add just enough so we can get a thin layer and a bit of even coverage. And there we have it. That's all there is to it. I will refrigerate these for 10 minutes, let the chocolate set, and then come back for the taste test. And we're finally here to my favorite part of the video, and yours as well, the taste test. So I've only coated the 4, I have another 4 left in there. As you can see, they're pretty similar to the original. Again, we have the same size, the same shape, and the same weight. These are both 25 grams. Okay, so the calories and macros will be posted on screen right now. Here are the calories and macros for the original Twix, and here is for the same size of the anabolic version. Alright, so let's begin the taste test. I'm gonna start with the real thing first, the real Twix, just to get that Twix taste on my palate. I've never actually compared these two side by side until now, so this should be interesting. Okay, so that tastes exactly what I expected it to. Is that original Twix taste, and the caramel is really gooey, really coming through, and that is a key selling point for the Twix bar. Chocolate is good, the cookie base is good, but the caramel is what sets it apart. Now let's see how the anabolic version compares. As the side view, and here is the side view for the original. Way more caramel on the anabolic version, because that's the selling point. That's the interesting part. So let's see how this compares to the original. These are so similar in taste, it's crazy. I'm going for the real one again. Okay, so taste-wise, there's barely any difference between the two. So barely any difference between the anabolic and the real Twix, man. That's crazy. Have it lower in calories, higher in protein, and taste almost exactly the same. This is better than most of the Twix knockoffs you can buy at the supermarket. If this is a 10 on 10, this is for sure a 9 on 10 at least. Man, this is really good. Now, apart from the taste, there is indeed a main issue with these. That's why I'm not giving them a 10 on 10 or 9.9 out of 10, because you can't get that same consistency. The cookie base is not as crumbly, as crunchy as the original, because there is less fat in there. You get the crunchiness, the crispy cookiness from a lot of fat, man. So we don't have a lot of fat in the base, so it won't be as crispy, as crunchy, as crumbly, but it still tastes almost identical to the original. And another issue, the caramel itself isn't as gooey as the caramel made from sugar. It tastes the same. It really tastes like caramel. The caramel pudding really gives it that unique flavor, and together with the brown erythritol and the butter, it creates the perfect caramel taste. It's gooey, it tastes like caramel, it's amazing, but it's not the original gooey, sticky one that you can stretch out. I don't know if this will provide that stretch. Yeah, look at that. So the anabolic version won't stretch out like this caramel does. That comes from sugar. So that's the only issue I have with these. There is a lot of caramel in these, but it rips apart rather than stretching out. It does indeed taste like caramel. It is gooey, but not as gooey as the original. But a 9 on 10 is the perfect score for me. It's within the circle. It's more than enough for me to say no to the original Twix and eat the anabolic version instead, satisfying those cravings for lower the calories and higher the protein. So if you like this type of content, if you want to see more of these videos, more anabolic recipes, then make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification icon so you get notified every time I put out a new, awesome, amazing recipe such as this one. Leave me a comment in the comment section below if you make this, hit me up on Instagram, and always remember, you can do it. Everyone can. No exceptions.